The story begins by showing the vibrant 80s in a charming city nestled in the heart of France. Picture a young couple, Osmane and Agna, embarking on a new chapter of their lives. They had recently relocated to this bustling city, filled with dreams of establishing their own restaurant. As fate would have it, Agna, with a baby bump gently resting on her belly, carried the promise of a new life soon to be born into this world. Time whisked us forward, a few years passing in the blink of an eye. Agna's restaurant thrived, bustling with patrons seeking her delectable creations. Their once tiny baby, Ibrahim, had blossomed into a teenager, admired by his friends for his warmth and kindness. One day, Ibrahim returned home from his playful escapades, only to stumble upon a heart-wrenching scene. His father, Osmane, had brought a young wife into their household, igniting a heated argument with Agna. This unexpected twist shook Ibrahim's core, turning his affection for his father into a brewing storm of resentment. A year drifted by, and Osmane's new wife, Maymuna, had given birth to a child named Adama. The striking resemblance between Adama and his father drew Osmane's love and attention away from Ibrahim, leaving Agna consumed by envy. The once harmonious home became a battlefield, a consequence of intertwining the young and old wives in one household. The passage of 6 long years transformed Ibrahim into a young man, his life adrift without a clear direction. He found solace in the company of a group involved in illicit trade, choosing a path that contrasted sharply with the virtuous upbringing of his younger brother, Adama. Adama, on the other hand, embodied obedience and intellect, dutifully adhering to his father's every word. As the story unfolds, we learn that Osmane and Agna were blessed with another child, a daughter named Asada. However, their once blissful world was shattered when a commotion outside caught their attention. It was Ibrahim, desperately evading the pursuing police after being caught with illicit goods. In a heartbreaking turn of events, Ibrahim was apprehended, leaving Osmane deeply disappointed. In a fit of anger, Osmane swore never to acknowledge Ibrahim as his son. A few months passed, and a poignant scene unfolds with Maymuna engrossed in conversation with a mysterious man. Adama, witnessing the encounter, rushed to aid his mother, but tragically found himself struck by an oncoming car, rendering him unconscious. Days turned into an agonizing wait in the hospital, as Adama lay in a coma. Finally, a glimmer of hope emerged as Adama regained consciousness. However, the cruel twist of fate robbed him of his sight, leaving him blind for the rest of his life. Maymuna, weighed down by grief, couldn't hide her sorrow as she faced the heartbreaking reality of her son's permanent blindness. Months later, Ibrahim was released from his confinement, his heart heavy with the intention of apologizing to his father. However, Osmane, still nursing his disappointment, adamantly refused to meet with Ibrahim. It was then that Ibrahim made a decision. He couldn't bear to see his mother suffer any longer at the hands of Osmane. He resolved to bring Agna and Asada to live in a borrowed apartment, separate from the turmoil, while Osmane, Maymuna, and Adama continued their lives together in the restaurant. In the restaurant, Osmane remained a pillar of support for Adama, continuously encouraging him despite his visual impairment. Even though Adama couldn't see, Osmane believed in his son's strength. Fast forward to the year 2023, and we find Adama as a grown adult, engaging in a captivating game of chess with his best friend, Malik. Their peaceful moment is interrupted by the arrival of Ibrahim, now a respected figure within the Mafia. Ibrahim had come to request Malik's presence at his apartment later that night. A foreboding feeling washed over Adama, urging him to dissuade Ibrahim and protect his friend. However, Ibrahim dismissed Adama's concerns, asserting that it was for the Saka of Asada. Unbeknownst to Adama, Malik had developed a romantic relationship with Asada. Thankfully, Osmane intervened just in time, promptly expelling Ibrahim and his associates from the premises. When night fell, driven by a reckless determination, Adama ventured into Ibrahim's apartment. There he sought refuge in a room belonging to an elderly lady whom he happened to know. Within the confines of that room, Adama pressed his ear against the adjacent wall, listening intently to the conversations taking place in Ibrahim's domain. Adama overheard Ibrahim issuing a chilling ultimatum to Malik, forbidding him from ever approaching Asada again. Should Malik dare to defy this warning, Ibrahim made it clear that he would not hesitate to take drastic measures. Filled with an intense desire to help his friend, Adama wrestled with his limitations, knowing he could only remain silent due to his own constraints. In the days that followed, Adama immersed himself in music within the confines of his room when he was unexpectedly visited by Asada, a familiar face associated with Ibrahim. Asada expressed her concern, noting that Malik had been missing for several days, fearing that something terrible had befallen him. At first, Adama hesitated to reveal the truth, but unable to bear Asada's distress any longer, he confessed that Malik had been threatened by Ibrahim to stay away from her. However, before they could delve further into the matter, a startling sound echoed through the house. Someone had fallen down the stairs. Adama and Asada rushed to investigate, only to be devastated by the sight before them. It was Osman, lifeless. Overwhelmed by grief, they wept inconsolably. The following day, the somber air hung heavy as the funeral services for Osman took place. Ibrahim and his companions were in attendance, seemingly unaffected by the weight of the occasion. After the funeral, the Osman family gathered at the restaurant, and Ibrahim wasted no time in seizing control, asserting his position as the eldest child. As the second son, Adama struggled to accept Ibrahim's decision, but he felt powerless, unable to challenge his brother's authority. Meanwhile, Asada clandestinely met with Malik, their hearts entwined. In this private moment, Malik made a resolute decision, declaring his love for Asada despite the threat looming over them from Ibrahim. As the days unfolded, Ibrahim solidified his power, imposing taxes on the merchants who resided under his influence. His authority seemed unstoppable. To everyone's surprise, Ibrahim and his cohorts barged into Adama's home, intending to stash their ill-gotten gains and vast sums of money. These riches were the spoils from a raid on a rival mobster named Anthony. Adama couldn't conceal his disapproval, but Ibrahim argued that since this house also belonged to him, he had the right to keep his possessions within its walls. Night fell, and Adama found himself lost in daydreams, yearning for an escape from the constant oppression inflicted by Ibrahim. The weight of his circumstances weighed heavily on his mind. Yet in the depths of his despair, Adama recalled the wise words of his late father, which sparked a flicker of resilience within him. He realized that he had the potential to transform his weakness into strength. The following day, a tense scene unfolded as one of Ibrahim's associates found himself being pursued by the police. Fearing the consequences, the man swiftly discarded his unlawful goods and weapons before he was apprehended. Moments later, Ibrahim and his loyal comrades arrived on the scene. Ibrahim made a bold request to the police, urging them to thoroughly search his associate before making an arrest. He stated that if any illegal items or weapons were found, the police were permitted to take the man into custody. However, if nothing incriminating was discovered, Ibrahim insisted that the police release his associate. He emphasized that without concrete evidence, the police would be jeopardizing their own safety by taking him away. Yielding Ibrahim's proposition, the police proceeded to search the man. To their surprise, no illicit goods or weapons were found. Consequently, Ibrahim's associate was promptly released, and the police hurriedly departed from the scene. As the evening descended, we find Adama immersed in his music, completely unaware that his home was being infiltrated by two robbers. Their target? The goods that Ibrahim had stashed in Adama's house. With little resistance, the robbers swiftly seized Ibrahim's belongings, resorting to violence against Adama's loyal canine companion to clear their path. Unbeknownst to Adama, he continued his creative pursuit, lost in his melodies. It was only when the stench of blood reached his nostrils that he snapped back to reality. Shocked and heartbroken, Adama discovered the lifeless body of his beloved dog. Overwhelmed with grief, he realized that this tragedy had unfolded because of Ibrahim's decision to store his spoils in Adama's home. Maymuna, helpless in the face of her son's pain, could only embrace him tightly, urging him to find strength in his patience. With his spirit shattered, Adama sought solace in the hands of a renowned therapist that very night. He pleaded for a cure to his blindness, yearning for the restoration of his sight. For days, Adama endured agonizing therapeutic treatments, each moment fraught with pain. Then, as the dawn broke, a glimmer of hope emerged. Adama's eyes gradually began to regain their vision, albeit in small increments. Fueled by newfound determination, Adama sought out Anthony, the rival Mafia boss to Ibrahim. Concealing his restored sight, Adama feigned blindness, recognizing that his perceived weakness could be transformed into a formidable strength. He expressed his desire to join Anthony's group, fueled by an intense longing to eliminate Ibrahim. However, Anthony merely laughed, deeming it impossible for a blind man to serve under him. Without hesitation, Anthony expelled Adama from his presence. When Adama made his way home, an unexpected and terrifying turn of events unfolded. Ibrahim's men ambushed him, snatching him away and spiriting him off to an undisclosed location. There, Adama suffered brutal torture as Ibrahim discovered his intentions to conspire with Anthony. Despite the agony inflicted upon him, Adama refused to confess, leading to his confinement within the confines of that grim place. Days passed, and Malik, now in a committed relationship with Asada, expressed concern over Adama's sudden disappearance. Disturbing rumors circulated, suggesting that Adama had been kidnapped by Ibrahim. Malik relayed these rumors to Asada, hoping to convince her of the dire situation. However, Asada, blinded by her loyalty to Ibrahim, dismissed Malik's claims, refusing to believe that Ibrahim could be responsible for such an act. The scene shifts back to Adama, his body weary and weak from the relentless torment inflicted upon him. Ibrahim brings Maimuna into the room, urging her to persuade Adama to admit his alleged betrayal. With the door locked once again, Adama confides in Maimuna, revealing that his restored sight has brought her happiness despite their current captivity at the hands of Ibrahim. In the meantime, Ibrahim sits down to dinner with Asada and Agna. Asada bravely broaches the subject of the rumors circulating about Adama's abduction. Agna, as a concerned mother, supports Asada, urging Ibrahim to address the question. Reluctantly, Ibrahim confesses to the truth, admitting that he has indeed kidnapped both Adama and Maimuna. He justifies his actions as punishment for Adama's perceived betrayal in aligning himself with Anthony. This revelation sparks a heated argument within the family, but Ibrahim remains resolute, determined to keep Adama as a form of punishment. In the darkness of the night, Adama stirred from his slumber, alerted by the sound of approaching footsteps. Reacting swiftly, he positioned himself behind the door, clutching a stone tightly in his hand. Prepared to defend himself against whoever opened the door, expecting it to be Ibrahim or one of his men. However, to his surprise, it was Agna, his stepmother, who entered with the intention of freeing Adama and Maimuna. Yet, before Agna could act, Adama's instincts took over, and he struck her fatally with the stone. The grim act was done, leaving Adama and Maimuna no choice but to flee before Ibrahim and his men discovered what had transpired. Adama and Maimuna sought refuge in Anthony's domain, imploring him for a place to hide. Recognizing the value of having the enemy's family in his hands as leverage against Ibrahim, Anthony agreed to offer them sanctuary. In this unexpected alliance, Adama found temporary respite, shielded from the wrath of Ibrahim. On the other hand, Ibrahim seethed with anger upon learning of his mother's recent demise. He vowed not to grant forgiveness to Adama and Maimuna, deploying his men to search relentlessly for them. The following day, Malik, being the true friend he was, discovered Adama's hiding place within Anthony's realm. Acting as a loyal ally, Malik delivered fresh clothes and food to Adama through trusted messengers, discreetly provided by Anthony's associates. In a display of increasing ferocity, Ibrahim raised the tax rates for all the merchants under his control. Any merchant who dared to resist paying was swiftly dealt with by Ibrahim's ruthless hand. These acts served as a testament to his mounting anger and frustration, fueled by his inability to locate Adama and Maimuna. Days later, Malik arrived at Adama's hideout, delivering the grim news that Adama had become the most wanted person, even prompting Asada to harbor resentment towards him for causing their mother's demise. Malik suggested that Adama report himself to the police, seeing it as a potential way to protect himself. However, Adama refused, knowing that surrendering himself would be akin to handing himself over to Ibrahim. He had other plans to take on Ibrahim and his sons, determined to find his own path of resistance. The following day, Asada, overwhelmed by her emotions, sought out Malik at his home. Finding him absent, she entered his room and stumbled upon Adama's clothing. Asada's realization struck her. Malik had been aware of Adama's existence all along. Upon returning home, consumed by her anger, she divulged this revelation to Ibrahim, pleading with him not to harm Malik, but rather to subject him to questioning. Shortly after, Anthony summoned Adama, presenting him with a package deliberately sent by Ibrahim. As Adama opened it, he discovered a gruesome sight. Malik's severed finger is evidence of Ibrahim's ruthless actions. Adama, maintaining his facade of blindness, concealed his emotions even as grief consumed him for the loss of his closest friend. Anthony then revealed that Ibrahim had agreed to relinquish his territory for 3 months, on the condition that Adama and Maimuna were handed over. In response, Adama cunningly replied, highlighting the limited time frame offered by Ibrahim. He proposed that if Anthony wished to eliminate Ibrahim completely, Adama would ensure that the entire territory would be transferred to Anthony's control permanently. Intrigued by Adama's words, Anthony succumbed to the persuasive power of the proposition, striking a deal with Adama. The next day, Adama wasted no time. He swiftly escorted Maimuna to the bus terminal, urging her to leave town temporarily for safety. Meanwhile, Adama embarked on his own plan of action, leveraging his alliance with Anthony to exact his revenge. The scene shifts to Asada, seething with anger upon learning of Malik's tragic fate. In her fury, she confronts Ibrahim, but he remains indifferent to her anguish, callously ordering his men to confine Asada within a room. Trapped and isolated, she is left to grapple with her emotions. Under cover of night, Adama infiltrates Ibrahim's apartment, slipping inside unnoticed. With ease, he reaches out to the police, urging them to come swiftly. However, Adama's true intentions are not to capture Ibrahim, but to pit his group against Anthony's, hoping they will ultimately destroy each other. He throws a smoke bomb, shrouding the area in haze to disrupt the guards' visibility. Adama deftly immobilizes one of Ibrahim's men, who catches sight of him. Swiftly, he seeks refuge in the familiar room of the grandmother, signaling Anthony by flashing his flashlight downwards, indicating the commencement of the battle. Anthony's forces launch an assault on Ibrahim's apartment, while Adama himself ventures to confront Ibrahim. However, Ibrahim is already aware of Adama's presence, leading to a fierce confrontation in which Adama delivers a severe beating to Ibrahim. As Adama is about to deliver a fatal blow, a sudden realization strikes him: Ibrahim is his brother. In a moment of clarity, Adama chooses to spare Ibrahim's life, abandoning his intention to shoot him. However, the wounds inflicted on Ibrahim are grievous, and he teeters on the brink of death. At that moment, Asada arrives and witnesses Ibrahim's dying state. She pleads with him to hold on, but the loss of blood is too great, and Ibrahim succumbs to his injuries, passing away before their eyes. In the depths of the basement, the police began to arrive, swiftly apprehending both Anthony's and Ibrahim's men. Meanwhile, Adama maintained his disguise, donning sunglasses and wielding a walking stick, successfully evading suspicion as a blind individual. With a calm demeanor, Adama remained composed, knowing that the police would not suspect someone like him. Eventually, an opportune moment presented itself, and Adama managed to escape the clutches of the police. Once he reached a safe distance, he discarded his disguise, discarding the sunglasses and walking stick. Determined and resolute, Adama set his sights on the headquarters of both Anthony and Ibrahim, seizing control of their vast assets. In the end, Adama emerged as the sole leader of the Mafia in the city, as he claimed ownership over all the acquired assets, effectively gaining control over Anthony's organization. The power dynamics shifted, placing Adama at the helm of influence and authority. The moral of the story is that when faced with a family feud, remember that throwing smoke bombs won't solve anything. try a game of charades instead.